Florio probably thinks, oh my god, they're staring at me, they love me. And Bruno whispered into his ear, you are sitting on the wrong chair. Hi everyone, welcome back to John Florio channel. I am Mary and I'm here to talk about John Florio. John Florio and Giordano Bruno moved at the French embassy in 1583 and they spent 2 happy years together. Bruno wrote the most important works of his career, and I will explain you how these works contain references to John Florio and how Shakespeare used these works in his plays. Now, a little bit about the everyday life at the embassy. Bruno had a great relationship with the ambassador and John Florio. It is proved, for example, that he was very fond of the ambassador's daughter, little Catherine. In his work on the cause, principle and unit, Bruno describes Catherine as a talented girl who speaks fluently many languages and has an angel, which indicates that he knew her very well and got attached to that little girl during those years at the embassy together. But what about Florio? What did that weirdo do at the embassy? Technically, Florio worked as a tutor to the ambassador's daughter, as tutor in Italian and Latin. But in reality, he was a factotum. He worked as secretary, writing letters for the ambassador in the famous secretary hand, the calligraphy that was used in England for legal documents at the time. He was also the ambassador's legal representative. He accompanied the ambassadors to the audiences with the Queen Elizabeth I at court. Why? At the time, Michel de Castelnau tried to arrange the marriage between the English Queen and Monsieur Francis, Duke of Anjou and Alençon, the youngest son of King Henry II and Caterina de' Medici. This turned out to be a huge failure. Queen Elizabeth described Francis as a little frog. But in the months in which France tried to woo the English sovereign, the ambassador and Florio were off at court to try to convince Elizabeth to get married. Result, she said, "No, sorry guys, I'll never get married. Bye." Another job that Florio had was that of emissary. The French ambassador knew all England's most important political figures, Walsingham, Raleigh, Sidney families, counties, dukes, and he brought them many letters. Florio had the task to bring those letters to them. From the documents, it is proved that first, Florio loved to use the ambassador horse, and second, by kissing England's most important hands on behalf of the ambassador, he was able to connect with that London literary circle that will trace his successful future career. That old fox! It is also proved that Florio worked as a spy for Francis Walsingham right after those important meetings that he had through the ambassador's letters. But this is an interesting subject that I will explain and discuss you later. Now, I want to focus on an important dinner that Florio and Bruno attended, which resulted in a work that Bruno published and caused a turmoil at the embassy. What happened during that dinner? Why Bruno and Florio made a mess during that party and how the guests reacted? Welcome to the Ash Wednesday supper. But before we start, don't forget to like this video, to subscribe if you want other videos on John Florio, Shakespeare, Bruno, blah blah blah. And now let's start. Giordano Bruno wrote the Ash Wednesday Supper in 1584, establishing his fame as a philosophical troublemaker, if that wasn't clear before. Now, it has been proved that the dinner that Bruno describes in his work really happened. In the documents of his trial, in fact, Bruno confessed that the supper was a real event, and it is believed that it happened in the house of Fulgrebil. One of the many revolutionary aspects of Bruno's works are not just the topics that he discussed, but also the way he introduced these topics. Bruno, in fact, decided to not use Latin anymore, which was the official language, but to adopt the Italian vernacular and to write his works in form of dramatic dialogues. This is extraordinary, and it also explains why we find so many transpositions in Shakespeare's plays. Bruno was a lover of theatre and poetry as well. He wrote sonnets, and he believed that to discuss new revolutionary important subjects, you also have to adopt new forms of languages. So the Ash Wednesday Supper is written in the form of dialogues, in which Bruno also shows his sarcasm, his irony, and his great talent not just as a philosopher, but also as a writer and dramatist. And the main protagonists of this story are Giordano Bruno and John Florio. So what happened during that famous dinner? The first scene begins with Florio and Matthew Gwynne. Matthew Gwynne was a famous doctor, dramatist, and Florio's closest friend. They are outside the embassy and they are waiting for Bruno. It's cold, they must go to this dinner and they are late and Bruno is not showing up. So Florio says, where the hell did he go? Why is not showing up? He certainly forgot about this dinner. At that moment, they see Bruno walking towards the embassy, totally unaware of the urgent appointment. And Florio shouts, where did you go? Have you forgotten we must attend dinner? And Bruno suddenly remembers, oh my god, yeah, sorry, I forgot it, let's go. And Matthew Gwynne says, there are many famous gentlemen who are waiting for us. Come on. So they want to reach Fort Greville's house. And they have to walk through the London streets. Bruno described the streets as muddy, dark and unsafe. He also describes some citizens pushing and attacking foreigners for no reason, remarking the hate and xenophobia for strangers during that time. When they reach the main street, the Strand, Florio decides to take a boat. And it will turn out to be a very bad idea. Now, Bruno is not certain of Florio's idea. He doesn't like it. The boat is small, very small. He described it as small as a wine cork. He's scared. He's unwilling to go in. Florio, on the contrary, is more relaxed. He jumps on the boat and enjoys the view, the beautiful London landscape from the Thames. So Bruno decides to join him. And while Matthew Gwynne is probably scared as hell because the boat is very small, it's unsafe, and no one knows what they are doing and where they are going, Bruno and Florio are busy singing verses from Ludovico Ariosto, Orlando Furioso. So the scene is Bruno and Florio who sing on the boat Dove vai dolce mia vita, and Matthew Gwynne stares at them while wondering why I'm here. Now, after half an hour, they finally get off that damn boat. But they suddenly realize that they are at the same point where they took the boat. They basically did a grand tour on the Thames by reaching the same point they were before. I think Gwynne and Bruno were a tiny bit angry with Florio, just a little bit. At that point, Bruno says, okay, I'm done, it's over. I want to go home, we'll never reach Greville House, we are soaking wet, we are dirty, and it is late. Florio, on the contrary, says, come on, we can do it. It won't take us much time. Let's go. And they finally reach Greville's house. When they open the door, the guests turn and stare at them and probably thinking, who are those weirdos? As usual, Bruno doesn't say a word. He finds a quiet place where to sit and attends to be served to eat some food. Florio, on the contrary, is proudly walking among the guests with his flamboyant attitude, introducing himself as Englishman, pretending to know everyone, and finally sitting on the wrong chair. Specifically, on Fort Greville's seat. So everyone at the table turn toward Florio and they stare at him. Florio probably thinks, oh my god, they're staring at me, they love me. And Bruno whispers into his ear, you are sitting on the wrong chair. And Matthew Gwynne comments, I don't know them. We met on the door Never. Don't know their names. The dinner finally begins, and they eat and drink and chat, and Bruno finally has his chance to talk. What happened during that dinner? What Bruno said. He not only reaffirmed the reality of heliocentric theory, but also suggested that the universe is infinite, constituted of innumerable worlds substantially similar to those of the solar system. Basically, in that work, Bruno was dramatizing what happened at Oxford and the debate that he had with the Oxford academics. In the same dialogues, he also anticipated Galileo Galilei by maintaining that the Bible should be followed for its moral teaching, but not for its astronomical implication. And he also strongly criticized the manners of the English society and the pedantry of the Oxford academics. You understand that everyone turned against Bruno during that dinner. The only one who tried to defend him during the dinner was, of course, John Florio. After an endless debate in which he tried to defend his philosophy and the heliocentric theory and his view, Bruno decides to leave dinner by saying, "Talking to these people is like casting pearls before swine." The guests are somewhat relieved to see Bruno leaving. Florio follows Bruno immediately, and they both come back at the embassy, disheartened, sad, and tired. Now, what happened afterwards? Why the embassy was burned down? Why some men attacked physically both Bruno and Florio? In the next video, I will explain you the troubles that Florio and Bruno encountered after that famous dinner, after the Ash Wednesday supper. Stay resolute. Bye.